Hi, gang. Welcome to Sketchin with Izzy. I'm going to do my standard sound check at the beginning. I think we should be okay. Can you all hear me? We've got a blank canvas today because I think we're just going to be painting some fun stuff. I have no plan. Just going to sketch. So I'm open to suggestions, of course. Hi, Irina. Welcome. Yeti, good to see you here. Naomi, awesome. Ashton, welcome. Hell yeah. The whole gang's here. A giant dog. All right, that's an interesting start. Any other ideas? We'll do a little vote. I'm looking through images for color ideas. How y'all doing today? It's pretty early, huh? I know some of you are in California. It's got to be super hot right now. It's quite warm here. Let's see what we got. Double check all my tools, make sure they're working okay. Bonjour. How you doing, Thug? I'm taking ideas for something to sketch. If you say a hand horse or a horse made out of hands. Sexy vampire. Oh my goodness. I could never do them as good as you. I'm good, Yeti. I'm good. Feeling pretty good. It's a nice day. Scribble, scribble, scribble. You know me, I don't like to paint on just a flat surface. So I even more than just toning my canvas, I like to texture it a little bit. It's very like early 2000s now. I'm not starting with a Blender file or something cool like that. I'm old school, guys. Okay, so far we've got sexy vampire, giant dog, and glass? Or is there something behind me? You guys would tell me, right? No other suggestions? Let's see. What can I throw into the mix? A Cockney hamster? Huh. That could be interesting. Like a hamster that looks like the Hitcher. All right. Sounds like creatures are it. So how about this? We'll decide. I'll have you guys poll here. Something. Let's see. Something fluffy. Something slimy. Or something deadly. 1, 2, and 3. So that would be, let's see, what was the first one? I already forgot. Fluffy. Slimy. How do you spell slimy? Slimy. Deadly. Go Trex Doom, welcome. Oh man, you guys are all over the place again. Demage, welcome. How's it going? A pearly king and queen, but a hamster. Fluffy. All right, we're getting some fluffies. You guys sure like your fluffies. We can do that. Let me see. Ooh, fluffy and deadly. The dangerous mix. Fluffy covered in slime. Oh, you guys are creative. I like this. Let's see. I would be flashing the images I'm looking through, but there's some stuff here that's NDA, so I can't. Sorry, guys. Fluffy, sexy, and deadly. Sexy and slimy, I guess, are just implied together. Some Narlatep or whatever it is. All right, let's see. Get a line. Let's just start making some shapes. See what we come up with. And then we'll throw some Cockney accent on top. Something real bad. Some Dick Van Dyke-y. Cockney. Kratos versus the Manticore. Oh, did you get that last? Oh, you did it already. Oh, okay. Let me check. I gotta find it. I'm pretty sure that's on my art station. One moment. I gotta set it up so that there's like a noise or something when you do a purchase. I didn't even see that. That's awful. Let's see. Kratos v Manticore. Okay. All right, so before we get started, we're going to do a quick pro walkthrough here. This is for Kratos versus Manticore, which was a Game Informer cover from, God, when was that, Thug? That must have been back in 2012, something like that. Gareth, awesome. Great to see you. Welcome. We're doing some art stuff today. Hope you're doing well. I hear that was quite a marathon session you ran. Gareth did a 24-hour stream. I'm super impressed. I think I saw you at hour 16. Impressive. Yeah, 2013-ish. Okay. So let's see. This was my third cover, I think, at this point. They wanted to feature a big monster that was unique to the game at the time. And the Manticore was something that I actually designed from beginning to end. So it was like a really high-level mini-boss type character. And it was our first, I think it was our first large flying creature. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, Thug. And they wanted something that could go back and forth between flying and landing, so it would attack on the ground and attack on land. So I had to do this whole, like, designing the wings and making the wings work so that it could run around on the ground with the wings folded up was a total nightmare. Anyway, so they wanted to feature that creature and Kratos, because we would have two kinds of posters we would do for God of War. We would do the kind where Kratos, we see basically his back and he's facing adventure, which is your classic sort of environment shot where you see cool fantasy stuff in the distance. And then the other one is Kratos battling monster. So, of course, this is Kratos battling monster. We knew that we were going to do some aerial stuff with this guy that was already, I think, in the design, and there was already animation and things like that. So I kind of took the battle scene that this takes place. You can see kind of here in the background. I actually just used straight 3D. Because I didn't have time. I spent so much time working on the foreground. With the background, they gave me notes at the very end saying, hey, we want to see the environment. So I just took straight 3D and just blurred the shit out of it with a motion blur. I didn't think anybody would be looking at that anyway. Let's see. This actually started out horizontally. So originally it looked like this, my sketch. And I ended up going with the falling direction. I think it felt more dynamic. It had a nice diagonal to it, and then Kratos would cut into the Game Informer letters. This creature, I remember when it came to the actual 3D of the creature, we couldn't get a lot of the ideas that I had for the materials. I hadn't really done a deep material design for it yet. I'd done like the orthographics, and I designed what it would look like. But we ended up using this, I think, to help kind of sell the iridescence and the subsurface scattering of the light coming through the plates on its body. This was a really tough one because when you're doing an action scene and you've got a small character against a really large form, the challenge is always, where do you place the characters so that they're framed? You know, we talk a lot about micro compositions while I'm painting, and I'm showing you, you know, like little empty spaces. Well, sometimes you have to design with micro compositions directly in mind. So with this one from the sketch, I knew that Kratos was going to be inset into one of the wings or something like that, and I was going to use it as a dark shape, and I needed a strong fill light, or maybe two strong rim lights, and I basically went with all three. There's a rim light to the front, which is the blast that's coming from the manticore, and then there's a rim light from the sky, and then there's this kind of warm fill, which doesn't really have a lighting direction, and it's actually opposite of the environment. So I teach you guys all the time in the classes, and I talk about it in the stream, about unifying the colors based on ensuring that everything feels harmonious in the environment. I ignored that with this specifically because I wanted Kratos to pop out from the environment. So this is a combination of all of those things that we've talked about for focal points. Making sure that edges are different, so softer edges in the background, sharp edges in the foreground, changing the values so he's got darker darks than the things behind him, things like that. So everything in the toolkit went into this one. You love how I made the tail, that bifurcated stabby thing? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, that was a fun aspect. I just wanted to make it different than than a scorpion as it was. It needed to be more fantastical. Like always, I've told you guys before that I have a serious problem with doing with staying on model. I got a mental block with it. It's like numbers. I have the same issue with numbers. I just like to redesign stuff so much that even if I'm painting a character that's well known, I'll start redesigning them. It's just unconscious. And so with this one, I had the same issue with his face. I had to get a lot of help and constantly go back and forth and reference. The actual final art for this, I don't have it on this machine. It's on an old hard drive. I'll have to remember to pull that up at some point so we can actually look at it up close, because these details are a little mangy. It's a little too artifacty from... Let me see if there's a higher res one on here. There should be one on my art station, but I'm not seeing it. Oh, here's the manticore design. I can pull this up for you. Oh no! Didn't like that. That's really low res, I'm sorry, but I couldn't get the bigger image. But that was the original design. And I remember I painted on this, oh God, there were like 15, 16 different variations of how the wings would fold up. I think this one was my favorite, but it wouldn't work for the animators because as it moves, those wings, it would be too difficult to account for the wings flopping and them, what's the word? God, I'm forgetting my game terminology, where geometry crosses into itself. That would be a huge problem. So yeah, even though it was my favorite, that was not the one that we stuck with. Clipping, thank you, yeah. It would have clipped like crazy. So what we ended up doing is that the wings shrink and then they go into the forearm, and then you would just see like the little stubbies of the fingers coming out, and that was it. So he runs around on his wrist, and yeah, I remember it ended up looking pretty good in game, and it was like a cool shock. I was really lucky. I got to design a couple of really out there creatures that totally broke the established feel of God of War. There was some upset about it at the time. Like I designed the Elephantar, which is basically an elephant centaur, and people lost their shit. Like, the Greeks didn't have elephants, blah, blah, blah. People don't know their history. So yeah. Anyway, the Manticore was another one that had a little bit of blowback, but it is what it is. And now, I mean, you can go crazy with God of War. So that's kind of what we're doing with Bloodflower also. Occlusion, yeah, good point. And what's it called? The layering, where the different geometries are visible in front of each other. Oh, thanks. I didn't do any of the design of the game design itself. Like, that was just the brilliant designers. I mean, that's what God of War is known for, is the combat and the fun moments. But I really, really loved designing the monsters. That was a dream job for sure. And then on top of that, I got to do these illustrations like this. It was like fantastic. That was the best times right there. This was also when I was doing a bit of art directy stuff, which was great. Yeah, some games model rig, and I see how. Oh yeah, it's a nightmare. But that's kind of your job when you're doing concept art for for video games or even for film, is to go just push it beyond the limit and make it crazy and insane, and then it's other people's jobs to figure out how to make it work. Now it's good to have the parameters, and I like to work with tight parameters because then I have to be more creative with the solutions that I come up with. But I think it's a good idea to try to push the limit first and then, reel it back. So go to the extreme and then bring it back. Don't be too conservative with your early designs. The Juggernaut. Yeah, that's right. That's what he was called. They wouldn't let me call him the Elephantar. Let's see. What else do I remember from this? This was when I was having a lot of fun doing kind of really subtle specular texturing prior to this, and I mean even after. You know me, I love doing specular painting and doing the little tight bright lights on things that make them look shiny and slimy. And here I was really working my material muscles. Like, I really want to emphasize that. I remember I spent a long time on this belly part and trying to get that iridescence and trying to focus on getting flesh transitioning into carapace. That was a really big challenge, and it took this painting took a long time. I think it was like a month and a half or something like that. Exactly. Yeah, same thing with animation. It's true. Take it to the limit and then pull it back until it's just beyond natural, and you're going to have something that's interesting and iconic. I do remember that the blades, so Anthony Jones, Robot Pencil, was working with us at this time, and he did the redesign. I believe it was him that did the redesign of Kratos' blades, and I remember I could not get the shape right, so you may not notice it, but I actually just took his and pasted and transformed it in. So there's a little bit of a stylistic difference to the blades. It's really hard to tell with the really mushy JPEG artifacts, but yeah, I totally cheated on that one. Oh, there was another thing. I remember when I first did this, it was bloody as hell. Like, it was gory. There was blood splattered all over this thing. All of these cuts, there was blood. Kratos had more blood on him. It was super violent, and I had to dial it back for the foreign markets, because that's one of the things that you have to think about when you're doing a game that's going to be released internationally. You have to pay attention to the different cultural aspects of how they view visual symbolism. So a perfect example of this is, I remember this has been talked about before, not on my stream though, that Kratos being bald was a huge concern, because in like Japanese culture and some other Asian cultures, having no hair would be like a visual symbol of weakness, and that obviously that's not the case for our guy. He's a monster badass. So those were things that they actually contemplated, like putting hair on him for Asian markets. Germany, I think you're not allowed to show blood, so it has to be green or a different color that's not red, and so our effects artists, they spend all this time making gorgeous blood and gore, and then we have to do like this neon version of it. So these are all things you got to think about even when you're doing the illustrations to sell these concepts. So yeah, that was a really fun one. This was Kratos versus Manticore, a very entertaining, and I learned a shit ton on this one. So that was a good choice. Well done. Yeah, I loved this painting. There's no such thing as cheating in art. That's damn right. When you worked on Guild Wars 2, you had to revise all the skulls. Yeah, skulls are also super not kosher for a lot of cultures. It's a really bad symbolism. So these are things you gotta work with. Those are the different visual parameters as a concept artist and an illustrator. So if you were working on we don't have to worry about it so much with magic, but I do remember working on some other illustrations and some concepts for companies in other countries, and my design sensibilities had to be, I had to retrain myself to think about the sensibilities in regard to the visual symbolism of their culture. So the more you go out there and learn about the different cultures and why they mean what they mean and all of this stuff, that's going to be the thing that gives you an edge. It's good to learn. Kratos with a monk haircut. Yeah. Is Wrecker Havoc on? I didn't see him. Welcome, Wrecker. You know magic changes art for China? Yes. Okay, I did not know that. All right. Hi. Yeah, so I imagine that's probably the case with everything then, because China's going to be pretty strict about what sort of arts come through. So that makes sense. I have never been asked to change anything for Chinese art, or for the what do they call that, localization for China. I haven't had to do any of that, so it's entirely possible they maybe have a stable of artists that do just that. I don't know. You're welcome, Chris. No worries. Yeah. Anything you see that I've done that's pro finish or even personal stuff, and you want to know what went into it, absolutely, that's the thing to do. I forgot what it was called. I'm scrolling up. Pro walkthrough. So the pro walkthrough is one of those things that you can use your Z-bolts to purchase. And of course, I painted like a total doofus on the layer, my background layer. See, I'm a professional. Good damn it. Alright, so let's get Kratos out of the way. Let's group him. Throw that up there. You never know when something might come in handy for texture or for inspiration. Alright, so let's start a new shape. We had decided on fluffy, sexy, deadly, everything. You guys sure are demanding. Damn. I tell you you got to do a poll and you just do them all. That's not fair. That's not justice. I guess Twitch is not a just place. So fluffy, whenever I think fluffy shapes, I always think roundy things. The last one that we did, so if you were here for the whale painting, I started pretty similarly and I had sort of this capsule shape. So I don't want to do that again. In fact, let's take the whole canvas and rotate. And let's do something different. It's something that happens for designers all the time. So when you're doing your early parts of an illustration or a sketch, you're designing, right? And you have just shapes that you're drawn to. You have sort of a natural hand motions that happen, and you're going to always be making the same. That's right, it was Donald Trump's hair shape that started the whale. How random was that? But it was still kind of a pill. It was like a long... I do this sort of thing a lot. That sort of shape. So what we're going to do, we're just... Know what your tropes are. Try and find a way to break it. I'm just making shapes right now. I'm not concerned with whatever this thing is. I have no idea what it will be. I just know that it needs to meet those specific directions, right? I love designing rando creatures. It's always such a fun, like, kind of headspace clearer, you know? Kind of, there's thought involved, but also it's just kind of silly and you're not super invested. I know whatever this thing is, it needs to have a bowl cut now. I wanted to have a bowl cut so bad when I was a kid. It was like it was the cool thing, right? In the late 80s. And I remember I was so excited because I had finally talked my mom into doing it for me. And if you're looking at my hair right now, you're probably already seeing the problem. We put the bowl on my head and shaved around, and I just ended up having kind of a weird eraser head. And I was stuck with that for months. So yeah, bowl cuts, not for me. Doesn't work. Nothing says sexy like a bowl cut. Absolutely. I like that camel phrase. That's a good one. Kind of making like a weird fat kakuna. I'll have to avoid that. Ooh, I know. Alright, see? This is how it works. I did see something that this kind of made me think of. Where'd you go? Come back here. I think I can bring this one over. Look at this guy. Did you all see this when it went around on Twitter? The blind owl who has stars in his eyes. Like he's got like no retinas or something like that. And so all of the materials in there, you see the light bounce off the back of his eyes and he's got all these little specks and it looks like stars. So he'll be a little bit of reference for us with our bowl cut. Let's make a new layer. Transform. I think this might be one of those just like floating shape characters rather than an environment, which is fine. Doesn't always have to have all the backstory. Sometimes just weird, creepy stuff is good to go. Let's do line. I like to use brushes when I'm doing like just raw line stuff and I don't care how it looks. I like to use brushes that I know that I won't keep the line on. And I'm a big fan of these charcoal ones. Gotta move this out of the way. This shape also kind of reminds me of a movie that I loved and hated as a kid called The Black Hole. I think that was the name of it. It was a Disney movie that was like one of my early introductions to sci-fi, and it was super creepy. Had these creepy ass robots running around. Could be just my memory of it because I was so little, but it was a weird ass movie. Don't know what's going on there. Oh, see what I did? I drew on the damn same layer again. I swear to God. Fucking Adobe. You guys are the worst. Why do you do this to me? I'm thinking of like an owl's claw, since an owl is kind of a reference now or an inspiration for the shapes and the feel here. I want to include some kind of talon or something, but it might be interesting to take the rhythms of an owl's talon and instead of making an owl, like make an alien kind of allegory for it. So the talon then becomes the walking pegs of this weird sort of odd world type critter. Maybe there's more joints in it. He's got to be fluffy, of course. Like a little fluffy, scary monster guy. Thanks, Damesh, for continuing the sub. I appreciate that. Photoshop needs a pop-up window. Yes, it absolutely does. Or like a little noise, or like your cursor says, nope. You've just made... I mean, it doesn't seem like it would be that hard. You just made a new layer. You're doing work. And then you undo. Like, obviously, you don't want to go back. Like, there's no part in my brain that says like that's a logical solution there. Okay, let's try a little bit of warp action, because I like my cheating. And I really want to make him fluffy and roundy. Roundy and deadly. The best kind. If I name my layers, what? That is not a solution at all to this particular problem. This problem is when you undo. You go to a new layer, you start working, and then undo a stroke. It'll go back to the previous layer. The name of it solves nothing. Thug is a maniac for naming layers. He's super AR. What a weirdo. God damn it. I think I'm gonna ban you from naming layers, sir. What's it gonna be? It doesn't do that anymore. You might be working on a new Photoshop. I'm sure it's actually something that they've solved. Any layer sponsored by Crisps? Ooh. Ooh. Did you mean that kind of crisps? The English call chips crisps, and it's wrong. Kova, cool it. You can't see the layer palette. Oh shit. Oh no. Let me see if I can solve this real quick. I don't even know if I can do this live. I don't think I can. Oh, I can. Prepare for possible crash. Apply. Is that better? Did that work? I forgot to fix that. Sometimes I start the stream without changing the format of my resolution on my big ass screen. Did that work? Y'all can still see me? You can hear me. Okay. God damn it. Well, it's definitely causing a bit of a freak out on my other monitor, so... One moment, bear with me, please. Sorry. Not trying to press all these buttons, just everything got mushed up. Alright. Technical errors. Alright, so that's better. Now you can see it? Good, good, good. Back to drawing my weird little critter. Okay, good. Yeah, I can see it. It worked. My video card did not spaz, knock on wood. Not exactly what I'm after here. Let's see. I want something a little more chicken wingy. Yeah. Chicken wing. What are they called? not parapets. The little bits of the spider. Pedipalps. Pedipalps. Let's give him an even half dozen, because I'm weird that way. Although we kind of did that. This is very in keeping with our shrimp whale, so I'm not going to do the 6. I'll do just 4. And I'll leave, I'll use the rhythm, the design rhythm to maintain. Down into his little footies. He's got little footies. Come on now, footy thing. Okay, little footies guy. He's kind of cute, kind of fluffy. Also creepy and scary. And we go to imply the deadly. I want to do a tripod where he's got a single stabby talon in the front. And remembering that the goal here for me was to sort of reference an owl talon. When you're doing your creature designs and you are referencing something from reality, you don't have to reference it directly. You can just pick up little details here and there, and it will read. It's weird, but our brains just know, like they can see the symbol in it. So although there's a bit of spider, there's a bit of flea, you can also kind of see a little bit of bird. We're gonna double this one. Say the big one is the forward, the leading little tootsies. Let's give this bastard a little pedicure. All right. Let's go ahead and make a new layout. I'm gonna select him out just real quick. I like to do, when I'm doing this, I like to be kind of sketchy too, like I do with an actual pencil brush or something like that, and it helps keep the lines sleeker and smoother, so that you don't get these like little jaggies in there, and it kind of helps you keep that sketchy feel alive. I actually had a Photoshop class, hilariously, when I was in college, and the teacher described doing this as making tacos, and it was the weirdest. I had no idea what she was talking about. She was like, "Well, you're drawing, and then you just bring it back and let it go, and you made a taco." Like, what? Well, it looks like a taco. No, it doesn't. What sort of damn tacos you eating, lady? Just making tacos here. I'm glad you're all here to join me to make some tacos. Suffice to say, teachers are weird. I'm gonna try and turn him towards the camera a little bit. That's gonna be one of my goals here, because he's a little bit too in profile for us. I'm making tacos here because I want to have a totally separate layer that I can render into without, and this allows me to paint really quickly, and I don't have to worry about, breaking the contours of the edge. I can save that for the end. Don't forget that you can go the other way too. You could sketch out and subtract. You absolutely must learn your shortcuts for changing the attributes of your tools. Super important. I believe they are all essentially variations of Shift, Control, and Option, or Alt, rather. Option if you're on an Apple machine. What's great about Photoshop and basically all Adobe products is that you know that there will always be some kind of variable attached to those shortcuts if you hold them down while using a tool. Almost all of their different suites or whatever do that. That sucked. I'm gonna undo it. All right, I'm gonna give him a little chicky wings right there. Little chicky wings and his little hoofy hoofs. That's weird little beaky face. I actually kind of like this weird shape I drew in there, so I'm gonna try and capture that. It might be a little bit more detailed. All right, select all, or not select all, copy merged, and paste. Then we can turn off the underlying layer. And now we've got our little chicky bird spider monster. Sexy? Oh, I forgot about the sexy. Let's see. We'll have to come up with something really horrific for that. It's gonna upset the children at home. Let's make a new layer. I will allow you guys to hypothesize how I might do that. If your guess was I'm going to give him a 10-foot wang, you were right. Let's see. Do I ever have anxiety about losing the selection? No, because you can always undo. Oops, I have lost the selection before. It's annoying, but you learn after a while what the dangers are, what movements are likely to cause problems and things like that. It's not so bad. Let's go ahead and just save it here in Bloodflower for now. Isn't it faster to use pen tool to make a selection? Depends. If you're, I wouldn't say it's faster. I personally think it's faster to use the lasso tool, but it's far more accurate to use the pen tool. What the hell was that? That was crazy. So if you use the pen tool, I would use it for things where you have to have like pretty pinpoint accuracy and you want to have your curves perfect. That's a great way to do it. Since we're kind of in a sketch phase and we're not particularly fussed with making anything like ultra accurate, this is fine. Oh, welcome Teddy. I've got a rate. That's what that noise was. Holy shit. You scared me. The raid actually terrified me. Welcome Teddy. Yay! Hello everybody. Welcome. We are making a monster. It is both sexy, fluffy, creepy, and slimy all in one. We have not integrated sexy yet. I'm still trying to think up something that doesn't involve a 10-foot penis. So, no, you're all welcome. Super welcome. Lingerie, that's a fine idea. Sort of like a crotchless headpiece. I don't know. I mean, I don't know where the bits are that we want to cover up to make them more sessy. Let's do another layer. I'm going to go back to my previous one, and I like to, early on, I like to plant the creature or whatever it is I'm working on by giving it a little plane to sit on. I love how when that sound happened, I was like looking around like the dog was exploding or something. Let's see. I need the ideas, people. Definitely. That's what you guys are here for. 9 feet. That's fair. That's a nice combination there. That's how you cooperate. Bite the bullet. TVMA. If I do, I'm gonna lose. Well, it's not like I have a ton of followers anyway. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to go full adult here. Are there? Does Twitch even allow that? I don't think it does. I think I've already broken the rules with a little bit of booby action in previous paintings. Those hawk hoods. Oh, yeah, a falconry hood. That's a good idea. Arena, you think it favors lace? This is absolutely a latex monster. Maybe latex and lace. Some nice eyelashes. That's actually where I was going to go with it. I was going to make cute, pretty eyes. But I don't know if they necessarily count as sexy. Have to have a drink? Yep. The expression needs to be sexy. I like that. This is going to be difficult to make the expression here somewhat sexiful. Which is a word I totally did not make up. All right, that's just for now. We can once we have a light idea where the light's coming from, then we can work out where the cast shadow goes properly. But I just like to have a little ambient occlusion that tells me, yeah, this is a thing in a space. Let's grab it all and shrink it a little bit. You think this thing will pull off a Zoolander? That it'll do a Magnum? I think it might. I think it might have Magnum in it. What if we went coquettish? Like maybe he's covering up a little bit. He's like, ooh, oh my. You've caught me. I am in the buff. Little innocent face. What program am I using? I am using Photoshop CS6 because I'm old school and I don't like to change. Chozo from Metroid. Which one was Chozo? You know, I never really got into the newer Metroids, if that's a newer one. Although I've always liked the Metroid designs. They're pretty crazy. I like how over the top they are. They actually feel alien. I like that when the designers kind of just go completely bonkers. Pardon. So one of the things to start thinking about when you're doing even like a sort of random whimsical creature like this is to think I still end up doing world building. You can't take the designer out of this. So you got to start thinking about, okay, what does it eat? How does it survive? What are its defenses? Where does it live on the spectrum of the ecosystem? These are all things that can inform your design. They're questions you need to ask. Whoop. I'm sorry, whoever posted something. I deleted. I keep forgetting to do it. I'm the worst. I really need just like a manager. You're still figuring out Procreate? I love Procreate. That's a great one. Do I always start with grayscale image for values? No. I've done a couple now where I started with color initially. But when I'm doing something that's meant to be fast and kind of just get a cool idea out, so when I do concept art, I'll almost always start in value and build up to color eventually, because my philosophy is that at any point when you're doing your design, if you need to stop and show somebody that's going to be building it, they'll understand what you're doing, and then you're just refining and refining on top of that. So color is tertiary or quaternary when it comes to figuring out that design, unless the color is specifically an aspect of the design itself. Sorry, GoTrek. Isn't going all out bonkers kind of like what I do as well? Yeah, I suppose so. It is. I I think it's one of those things where like I like, you know, you like what you do kind of deal. You just find yourself extra pretty. It's like that. It's that sweet narcissism. It just deleted everything. I see. I see. Yeah, I think it's set up so only subscribers can post right now. I'm gonna have to fix it. It's just that's tooling around that I don't have time for usually. Like when I'm not doing the stream with y'all, I'm freelancing full time, so there's always something else going on. And then on top of that, I realized I'm getting ahead of my writing on Bloodflower, so I'm gonna have to spend some time back with that and get to the writing. Can't have a book without them words. I done heard that in the school. Cute and fluffy. With huge eyelashes. Yoo-hoo! Do both eyes get eyelashes? That's the question. Oh, they must, of course. It's weird how eyelashes do that. They really shouldn't. It's just hair, right? I have no idea what the hell this thing is. Look what you guys did. This is all your fault. This is your fault. And you need to be speaking to a therapist because something's wrong with you. You know, I'm just a concerned friend. This is so fucking absurd. Yeah, I know I've mentioned it before that I do a great deal of just straight illustration these days. I don't get a lot of opportunities to do concept art. So it's so fun to kind of just do crazy, insane stuff. Thanks for the follow, Clever Librarian. Nice. Okay, we got something there. I want to give him little kind of proto nails. See, so feathers and fingernails are kind of made from the same substance, right? It's like keratin. So I always like the look of those, you know, the little proto pinions on chicks. They have these little kind of dark, almost like pattern of blackheads that look cool on their little leathery buffalo wings. Wangs. He's so cute. I'm gonna full on cheat this one out right here. Invert, mask, goosh. What would we call a group of this? What's the plural noun? Librarian, I expect something clever from you. What's a plural noun of this critter? What is this critter called? We need names. Do you ever have problems with lasso selections being too pixely? Yes, that can happen in a couple of different ways. If you have anti-alias turned off up here, you see the little check mark for lasso. If that's turned off, it won't smooth and you'll end up with pixels. That's one way that can happen. And then the other way is if you are using accidentally the magnetic lasso tool. So that will adhere to edges as you draw. See how it kind of wants to stick to the edge there? And then I'll close it. So sometimes what happens is you can end up with, instead of kind of finding a smooth edge, it'll just kind of freak out and do random squarish shapes, and then it'll look pixelated. So those are the two things that usually cause that. Not a lot of people use the magnetic lasso tool. It's usually lasso tool with anti-alias turned off. So always make sure that's on. If still it feels a little bit chunky and not right, you can feather it. So that's what this is for. You just add a couple of pixels to feather and it'll make a really soft edge. 1 pixel is plenty, usually, to make it soft enough. I like crisp edges myself. The other thing, I guess there is one other way, and that is if your image is too low resolution, then also your lasso tool might not be very smooth. Would some sexy red nail polish work on those sounds? I like that too. That's nice. Skitterstrix. I like that. A Dodosaurus. Wow. A swarm of Dodosauruses. Dodosauri. Sauri. No, it's got to be something different than swarm. You know, like a rook of ravens, right? Or a council of owls? What would these things be? A clutch of Dodosauruses? No. It's usually like something indicative of what they look like as a group or something that they do. A flamboyance of flamingos. Don't ask me why I know all this stuff. It's just useless. Useless Izzy information. Okay, let's pick a light source, because I've been fucking tooling around here, not doing anything. So let's say, what kind of lighting scenario would make him or it or her, they, look cute, sexy, fluffy, and scary? I'm thinking maybe like a dark background, medium rim lighting, and then sort of a fill. I don't know, that's kind of a romantic look. A gaggle? A flitter. Flitter. A skitter. That's good. A conclave, nice. They might be thoughtful monsters. A nightmare. A dichotomy of dinosaurs. Yeah, that's pretty good. Nightclub lighting. Sexy reds. Okay, well, we're gonna have to get into some color pretty fast here. Can't be noodling too long in the beginning land. I gotta get to color right away. So let's first kind of create a value key that we're gonna play against. Sort of mid-tone. Maybe we can get a little darker in some spots. This is very much how I would do, you know, monster designs and character designs for God of War, or basically, honestly, any game. This is exactly how I do it. I solve the problem, and then I just give it a real rough, I call it the Sears background. Looks like those, you know, school photos things. It's just like a weird cloud pattern. When I do this, I'm thinking about what features I want to show off in regard to the contours of the creature itself. So places where I want to see a nice sharp edge, where that contour needs to be really visible, I might do something more contrasting there. It's different every time. Rembrandt lighting. That's a good idea. Might be more in the horror realm, I think, since it is a monster. So that's one of the things I like to do. You can, when you're doing a design for a creature, you can play the contrasts of the creature. Like, okay, so I've got fluffy, roundy parts, and I've got pointy, stabby, killy parts. Okay, that's a contrast that gives us a moment of thought as we look at it. Like, oh, interesting, weird. The other way that you can do that is contrast lighting. So if we were to make this, if we were to light this like it's in, you know, an IKEA showroom, and then it's this horrifying monster, that contrast gives you a little bit of a narrative in and of itself. It's just like, it's a cheap, easy way to make cool contrast. So you can play, it's a good idea to, not a good idea, it's always wise to play towards what your goal is. If you're trying to make something that's contrasting, use your lighting to contrast with whatever the thing is. Or if you really want to sink into it and really sell the idea that this thing is really scary or something like that, then you can go real contrapposto dark. Not contrapposto. Chiaroscuro. Thank you. Brain. Contrapposto is posing terminology. Okay. So we've got kind of a rough background back there. Let's do a quick rudimentary lighting pass and just test it out. In fact, we'll even set it to screen. Do a nice non-permanent. Okay, so he's fluffy. That means that we have to actually render the how the light would behave with a fluffy object. You must always obey the primary 3 rules of light, which you can see on YouTube. I have it for free there. Go watch it after the show. You'll enjoy it. It's some vintage Izzy. It's very, that was my very first public video I made, I think. And everything that I teach on my Patreon and my in the Gumroad archive is rooted right there. Okay. I think I'm going a little too bright. So I'm just using a similar textured brush and just erasing back out a little bit. I want to have a variety of materials, so these are going to be a little bit shinier, tight contrast drop off. Same. We've got to have a little fluffy tummy. Who doesn't love a fluffy tummy? So I've invented some pretty gnarly anatomy here. I'm going to have to figure this out if I'm going to light it. Otherwise, it won't make very much sense. Because I have the owl talons as a model, I can kind of cheat it a little bit, which is ideal. And another reason why you want to use things that are related to each other in your design. All right, let's do a quick, we're doing a lot of non-permanent stuff. Apply the direction of our light source. This is very common concept art lighting that I'm doing, which is fine. Let's go ahead and throw in a hint of a specular. We're not going to do the full specular yet. Remember, we saved that for last. So we're just going to imply, I'm giving myself little notes. Like that, the little spideriness of having 4 eyes. Oh, thanks for hanging out, Sicilian. You can watch. I'll have the episode up for I think a week, and then I'll transfer it to YouTube later if you want to catch up on it later. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Teddy. See you next time, Sid. All right, so we've got our eye going on there. I have an implied shininess. I don't want to render it just yet. Let's get to the beaky beak. Oops. What did I do? I did a thing where it's not... Oh! I'm painting on a screen layer. Screen layers won't let me do black. I'm a professional, ladies and gentlemen. Get his little creepy beak. Does this thing have ears? I don't know. Most of the morphology that we've already kind of adhered to implies that instead of it having proper ears, it has sort of an auditory meatus, like an owl or a bird, which would mean that its ear is probably in here somewhere, and it's probably just a small hole with a bit of a spiral bit of flesh around it. Doesn't matter where we put it. We could put his ear anywhere. Let's say his ears are maybe here. Yep, works for me. Thanks for hanging out, Clever Librarian. You're welcome anytime. Enjoy work. Wing ears. Woot. Oh yeah, earring might make it extra sexy too. That's a good idea. Oops. All right. I'd like to focus on when I'm doing creature design. One of the big important things for me is smooth transitions between features, because it's the different features that create a different kind of creature, right? So we mixed spider and owl and buffalo wings and maybe a crow here, and it's easy to kind of end up with like the old school ideas of what a manticore is, or like an empusa. I did the design for the empusa for God of War, and there was the traditional description for an empusa, which is a sort of like psychic sexual vampire, very similar to a succubus or an incubus. And in the description, it was like a winged female creature with one leg is that of an ass and the other leg is made of bronze, and like it's just what? So that mythical style of creature design that we know of from history made it very piecemeal, where things just looked like they were glued on. I don't like to design that way. I very much like to take great care in the transitional areas so that the pieces feel like they belong together, even though they are alien traditionally to our eyes. Let's see here. New musics. I don't like this music. All right. Let's also figure out how this is going to be a really important transition too. Right here. I'm going to go ahead and peel out of the clipping mask set so that I can start doing some more design shapes. So you got to think about, when you're designing anatomy, lovingly referred to as imaginatomy, you want to think about how anatomy behaves in reality. When you have, you only have certain different kinds of joints that you can work with. Like the toolbox is limited. It's not limited enough because, you can really come up with just about anything still. But then being creative with how you break the tools, how you break those different elements is key. So for example, all right, so I made this joint back here with skin and flesh that are going to fold up over that sort of knuckle bone end there. The pelvis on this thing is just undesignable. It's super weird. That's not true. I could totally design it. Yeah. But this front one, I did the same thing with it and it doesn't work because this is meant to be a center leg. And as we know, we do have some shapes to work with because humans, at least half of us, are somewhat tripodic. So we can use some of those shapes and rhythms to kind of help create that effect. Am I designing a pubis mons? Yes, I am. You're voluntarily watching me do it, so who's the real weirdo here? Definitely getting a little more sexy action in there. Oh shit. What am I doing? Alright. Hey, at least I have an audience to laugh along with me and I'm not alone on a boat cackling into the wind. I would never kink shame. Oh, poor Irina, I'm so sorry. We broke Irina, gang. You're staying up late just for this? Oh, you poor dear. Alright. I'm gonna do it. I'm doing it. I'm squashing it together, gang. Emerged. Whoa. Alright. Hey. Life wouldn't be what it is without our vanilla-y friends. We value you. So I'm painting now and designing now on the actual layer with all the information on it. So when I erase, I'm actually erasing contour. Excuse me, goddamn coffee. It's a shame I love it so much. See, normally when I'm drinking coffee, and I do drink a uncomfortably large amount of coffee, I'm not talking so much. It's just me sitting here sipping. And quietly thinking these things. These horrible, horrible things. I'm not a monster. I was just drawn that way. I kind of want like to imply that weird knuckly shape that kind of surrounds the talon, but of course make it more alien. But I'm hearkening back to my inspiration reference. Always thinking about how I can touch back on that in some way. It's not too late for adding a boob between the chicken wings. I think maybe the chicken wings are actually covering the boob. Kova, cool it! Bloody dog. She does not like all the attention you guys are getting. Poor dear. What time is it? How are we on time? I have a limited time to play today because I've got a meeting in an hour or so. Gotta do a job interview. Get a jobby job. Maybe there's some cleavage. I don't know. No, not this time. I want to clean up this just a tad. Oh shit, am I on another layer? No? Why is it not erasing? Oh! I have a selection, a tiny microscopic selection somewhere that I didn't see. Photoshop! What is it gonna be for? I'm getting pitched a game that hasn't been made yet. They want a concept artist to do some freelance on it and lay the groundwork for the new look. I honestly don't know anything else about the game. That's basically what the meeting is to kind of get me acquainted with it and see if it's a project that I'd be interested in helping out on. I'm interested because I have been, as I've mentioned, I've been doing so much illustration lately. I'm kind of looking for a little break. But yeah, I'm trying to interview in a few different places. I'm looking to get into. I've done some leadership stuff already in the past, and I'm looking to do just a little bit more and get some more experience under my belt. So what I'm really looking for right now, more than just concept art, is to do like art direction, creative direction type gigs. So I've got interviews for those two coming up. Hopefully, we'll see. It's not a bad place to be right now. I can work from home with family, my adoptee fam here, and kind of pick and choose. I know that's great privilege right now. One of those things, it was always the tough part about doing freelance from home is like, oh God, you miss the office environment, you miss the social aspects. Like sometimes it really gets to you. But in times like this, I was already ready made to go, with lockdown. Everything was already set up. The infrastructure was there. I already had the clientele. So this hasn't been a particularly jarring experience for me. And I know it has been for a lot, so it's hard. Do I feel there's slowing down in the industry? Oh yeah, of course there is. Well, this is interesting. One of the things that's commonly said about the entertainment industry is that it's the industry that will always persevere no matter what's going on. Economic distress, political madness, etc., that the entertainment industry is always there because there's one thing that people will always value, and that's their escapism. Well, even now it seems to be that it is being affected, the entertainment industry. There's still work, which is great, but I think it's definitely been affected. And the people I feel the most for are those that do on the ground work. So Teamsters, caterers, the people that support, all of the support staff for the creative entertainment industry stuff. Man, they are hurting so bad. The roadies for concerts, right? Like the musicians can record, they're fine. Roadies, they're an integral part of the gig, of that kind of entertainment. Get a kind of a seagull-y beak. Wary Warlord, welcome. No, I guess it could be a D&D creature. We just kind of had a little design spitting out some ideas, and we're just kind of solving for X right now. I'm trying to figure out what the hell those ideas lead into. And so far, it's weird. It's real weird. But also adorable. You know you want one in your pocket. This is something that could be peeking out of a purse right before it kills somebody. It's the cutest kind of creature. This is an important transition point that I've neglected, so I need to figure this out. What is going to happen between the beak and the belly? Do I go dark? Or light? More carapace? Because he's got kind of a carapace quality to his little guts here. I like those rhythms that I just added, but it's cutting into the fluff, and I really need him to be fluffy, which means that we can't describe too deeply the connective anatomy between the wings and that big floofy bit. Would be cool if the beak was open and it had toothy mouth tentacles inside. Well, welcome to the game. Let us begin. We're going to merge that down. We're going to have her smiling at us. Let us do a... Oops. That's a way that you can lose your selection, by the way. You were asking about that earlier. If you flip the canvas after you've made a selection, it deletes the selection. So you got to do your transformation first. It's the little things in life. Oh, I also said I wanted to transform this so that it was tilting towards us a little bit more. So this is actually good. It reminded me of that. Let us... I'll turn this off first. Nope, that's not going to work. Let's do a... Oops. Do a quick liquefy and hope that my machine doesn't freak the fuck out. I just want to create kind of more of a ball effect so that it looks more like we're looking at him sort of a little less profile and a little bit more 3/4. Oops, that was dumb. Yeah, that's a little bit more turned, so that means that we're gonna have to do something with these eyes. I'm gonna get rid of the mask. So the eyes need to be transformed too. Transforming circles into ellipses is a very delicate, thoughtful thing. You wouldn't think it very much, but it's so easy to completely break your perspective if you do not know how to transform circles. so that they feel like they are accurate ellipses. Do it with care. All right, let's do a mask. Oops, I forgot to select it. Let's turn it off. Invert. Mask. Oh, my panel just jumped. Come back here, you. Mask. All right. Sexy tongue, perhaps. Okay, that's a possibility. There we go. You're just going to ask me about using Liquify. Oh, no, I use Liquify all the time. The problem, I'm not entirely sure of the numbers on this. This is entirely conjecture on my part, but in my feelings, Liquify tends to cause more artifacts than warping does. They both degrade the pixels. No matter what, you're going to lose detail and edge quality. But I find, personally, anecdotally, that Liquify seems to do it more egregiously. It's just an opinion, man. Let's do the back of the mouth. I want to get that kind of gull throat shape a little bit more. Ooh, that did something interesting. Let's hold on to that little meaty shape. I like that. Happy little accidents. Go back to our throat layer. And let's root these eyes a little bit better. That means something completely different to our Australian friends. Imagine tentacles coming out of it. Oh, my friend. Let me tell you about my love of weird tentacle monsters. And not like that. Hey. Dirty. I just like painting weird-ass tentacle monsters. I think there's sort of a cosmic horror thing to a lot of these weird rando critters I make. Which is cool with me. I always liked that stuff about like Lovecraft, you know, the unimaginable writhing masses of whatever. We don't kink shame on this channel. The illithids are the mind flayers, right? I forget. I think I did see the Baldur's Gate intro. That was the one where there's like a demon that comes out of a big, weird blood skin portal. That was crazy. Shit is nuts. What was the name of the seagull character on The Little Mermaid? I forget. I haven't seen that in years. I'm sure one of you remembers or knows. Some of you have children and still irresponsibly watch me. Miracle of miracles. I made some friends with some sailor families when I was out on my boat adventuring in Mexico, and I recently had one ask, her daughter's getting into art, and she wanted to know if she can watch my channel. Like, how naughty is it? I don't know. What do you guys think? Can we have kids in here? I mean, cursing's pretty normal these days, right? That's not such a no-no. I'm rendering a little too much here, so what we're gonna do, let's take a break from painting that, and let's do a color pass. We're gonna group all this. We're gonna leave our, let's take our background and group background. Baldur's Gate is the one where Mind Flayers kidnap a bunch of humans and a team of dungeon riders come to say, nice! I didn't know that Baldur was associated with the Illithids. We got a boy, so it's all Star Wars now? Awesome. It's going to be so interesting experiencing like this new generation obsession with Star Wars, and it's such a different thing now. Should I use him into D&D? D&D. He's going to be a massive RPG fan. That may be very true. Your son's 25, daughter's 30. That's awesome. You weren't introduced to RPGs as a child? Oh man. You know, I got into them in my teens. I hadn't experienced them as a kid, but in my teens I got into them. Just loved it. And I know I've probably mentioned it here before. I always tell my students that I think an integral part of being a concept artist is to play role-playing games. Same thing for writers. It's storytelling practice. It's world-building practice. Imagination push-ups. And you can't ask for better than that, my friends. All right, let's see. We got to get some varied color in here. I'm going to use a weird color brush. Normally I use a photo. It's usually easier to get this kind of information in, but this is an alternative. It's completely sufficient. I just do the same thing with a photo. Everything ends up kind of a warm brown anyway in the end. But you can color pick and let's see. We were talking about red light, right? I like putting down basically colors from most of the spectrum that are going to fit, and then what I do is I kind of just try to find where the color is just right, or it just feels like it has potential, you know? I do a lot of this Sears photo backdrop cloud thing. Kind of digging on this a little bit. Let's just soften all those edges out and see how it goes. Am I placing the character in a photo studio-like environment? Kind of. I mean, it's my shorthand for you know, a character design or a creature design where I don't have time to do a background and really do story development with it. It works pretty well. It does have the unfortunate side effect of making, like, if you were to put this up next to a lot of the designs I did for God of War, just by virtue of the backgrounds being the same, they look like they might come from the same world. Like, there's that downside to it. But what we're talking about is communication and problem solving at speed. And sometimes you just got to make sacrifices there. And we don't have a whole lot of time today to do a complete illustration. I just wanted to fool around and hang out. So today's a no pressure kind of day. Naomi, thanks for the sub. That's awesome. I thought you left us. I'm so glad you're still here. Thanks for the follow, Warlord. Heavy hangs the head, my friend. You're always lurking, working. I love it. There should be a new verb for lurk working. Yeah, I worked on God of War. I was started on God of War 3 at the very beginning, and I was there until the end of God of War Ascension. So I did not work on the new God of War. That was a lot of my students actually worked on God of War. And then I have others at Respawn and all over the place. They're all hot shit professionals. It's awesome. So proud of those guys. The newest one is the best one story-wise. I haven't finished it yet, but I think so too. Honestly, I loved the first one, but then after that, I just started to feel like Kratos was an asshole, and I got tired of it. Like, the spectacle was always great. The gameplay was fun, but story-wise, to everybody's credit involved, writing stories for games is not easy, especially when you're trying to create within a franchise that's extant. You're gonna always be running into difficult issues. Okay, I don't like how ready the beak is, so I'm gonna go in and start. Whoop, come on now. Come on now. I'm masking with the selection. Yeah, all right. So here's the juice. What I like to do is separate these things. So I'll make a copy and set it into the background. There. And then this one is going to be just on that image. So if we turn it off, now the image is by itself, you see? Then, actually, be better yet, what we'll do is we'll put it into, we're going to merge everything so we have one solid critter. I noticed some holes in there. So I'm gonna fill that real quick. Oops, make a new layer. Go underneath. Look at where my holes are at in that selection. This is just gonna make the painting easier. And then put this layer underneath it and paint in real quick. It doesn't matter what brush I use. I just need the pixel information so that it's solid. Merge it down and select it again. See, no more holes. Okay, then I can put the color on this. I'm gonna copy the color and put it on the eyes because they did have some color too. Oops, I forgot to merge one. There we go. Alright, so now I can just paint on the creature. And for the background, I can dull down that color just a tad. And now our creature is the focal point. See how quick and easy that was? I'm lazy. It's what I do. The father-son dynamic beats the kind of childish power fantasy. Yeah, it's still a childish power fantasy, but it gives you, it seats it in something realistic that, you know, that shows a character arc and growth. That was the problem with Kratos, is he never grew before. So it was always rage, which works for sort of like a stock cartoony character that is a power fantasy. But when you really want to create a character arc that has emotion, I think Corey did a great job on that. He really captured something and allowed Kratos to grow. They were childish in a way. They were of their time, you know. You got to remember where they came from, the state of games at that time. I mean, things like The Last of Us weren't even a thing then, you know, with the first God of War. But the first one did have some, you know, it was simple, but it had some charm. For me, when I was playing it as a student in college, the first God of War, it wasn't about the story, though. It was about that art. I had never seen stuff like that in video games. And it just blew my mind. I think they did a great job for the time. And the team is awesome. It's some of the best developers, I'd say, in the industry. Still, certainly the top tier group. There are a few studios that I would definitely mark in that number, and Sony Santa Monica is one of them. I have a lot of respect for that team. I forgot the eyes are not in here. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I don't need to have the eyes on a totally separate layer, so that means I can get rid of this. I'm painting opaque. This isn't colorizing, or if you happen to be wondering. I don't like how sharp I made this bottom bit. I want to make it more knuckly. I have accent values up here now that I can pull from, so I'm going to go ahead and start dropping some of those darks down here into the crotchal region. I'm thinking about, the structure of the talons of the owl, the digits, like how the sockets kind of slide into each other, the origin and insertion of each bone, and then also considering tendons and the underlying musculature. It's going to make it work. And because I've already colorized, I can just color pick. I have the local color and the local value. And just noodle. Noodle time. Oh yeah. This dodosaur likes to slurp. Oh shit. Gotta light it. All right, now's the question. Let's do a quick hue saturation since we have color and value information. It's really rough, but it's enough that we can kind of... What's the vote here? What do you think color-wise? Anybody want to art direct? I kind of like the purple to start. I don't know. What do you think? I am open. Purple? Stick with purple. Let's vary it up a little bit, though, and give it a little... Yeah, the purple's the way. Just undulate color just a tad. Oh, there's absolutely something wrong with me. Do I like the 6 more vodka works? Yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah, Marcos, he's amazing. I've been following him for years. I haven't seen their new website, though. I saw that he did a launch today or yesterday, but I haven't checked it out yet. I've just been too busy. I know it'll be great. I think there's going to be something almost like gecko-y or chameleon-like about this, in putting it down low in the throat, making it all ropey and thick. I like my words. I am a wordsmith. Which is going to give me a nice transition. I'm going to actually build out that throat here then, so that it has that musculature underneath. The new website is unique. Wouldn't a fleshy pink be better? I don't know. We'll see. I think that maybe it can be fleshy and pink closer to the insert, like the origin of it, where it's like stuck into the throat, where the musculature begins, like where you wouldn't see as much light. But I like the purple for the outside. New website's kind of unique. Is that good? I'm assuming that's good. They must have spent some time on it. Hey, thanks for the follow, Siforfish? Sai. I'll just call you Sai. Welcome. Oh, thank you. Yeah, and I've been so neglectful of that thing. I really need to put up all of my art on it, my art station. I noticed also, yeah, I hadn't updated my DeviantArt in quite a while, so I did that the other day too. There's just so many things to manage. I like making art. I love doing the design. I really enjoy streaming and hanging out with you guys. Managing social media and my portfolio is just the least interesting thing to me. I just want to make stuff and write goofy stories and tell silly stories. But no, I have to sell myself. Definitely gonna go for kind of that ropey muscle feel. Hey Dan Rub. Sorry, we've been painting pervy stuff all day. No, I did not get a haircut. I simply washed my hair. When you have curly hair like mine, it just kind of does whatever it wants, and the only time it ever looks relatively neat is after it's dried from a shower. And I mean, this won't last. I mean, by the time I'm done with my interview, I'm sure it'll be all kooky. Trying to imply kind of like a rotation. And I'm thinking I probably need to make this end kind of like a chameleon tongue, and that it's like got a knobby bit. Is this guy going to be in Bloodflower? No, I don't think so. Today is just kind of a fun day, being silly. I need breaks every now and then. Give me an opportunity to kind of just have fun. Doing projects and finishing projects is hugely important. But you got to be careful with projects, because on occasion you can take it too far and then it becomes a work type thing, and then you start wanting to not work on it. And that's a dangerous position to be in. That's the kind of thing that can keep you from finishing something that you've been trying to work on. Can you post a link to a reference suggestion for the tip? No, you may not. You can't post anything anyway. And I think only subscribers can do link posts. I'm sure that it would be very good and not MA rated at all. Was it going to be an echidna penis? It was, wasn't it? For those of you that are curious, please feel free to Google at this moment. Serena, I'm so sorry. Good night. Thanks for hanging out. All right. Rest well. Okay, let's do the throat elements. I think we can do those below. Let's see. Yeah, let's do that here. Bye-bye now. All right, let's switch back to a brush that will allow us to kind of do our texture contour painting. The goal here is definitely kind of to make it look like there's this mass inside. Okay. We've got a lot of juicy bits in there now. I want to real quick do a I've created a color and contrast focal point. So when you see this, you're going to go right to that one spot. And then I'm going to put in lots of speculars all around this area, and then this is going to be our money zone. Thug has redeemed Z bolts to change a color. What is the new color you would like? I will stop painting until you state it. And I will drink my coffee. Eye color, same kind of blue iris. Okay. The blue of which? There is no actual blue in this image. Some art director you are, sir. Changing the black to blue. Oh, you would like blue. Oh, some kind of. See? Okay. It's not that you're a bad art director. It's that I can't read. Some kind of blue. That I can do. Let us make us some blue. Oh, there's definitely going to be specular, but Sai, you will see that I always save that for last. Those are the juicy bits. That's dessert, baby. I'd say let's test kind of a... Let's see about maybe a magenta infused blue. Something on the purpley side to stick with what we've got. It's got to be huge. Dilated pupils, because this thing is aroused. So sassy. You like the eyes on the owl? Oh, like the pupilless ones. Okay, we can try that. How's that? Kind of more of a jewel look. If you have them kind of crossed, like they're both looking at the viewer, it could look like a flounderfish with both eyes on the same side of the head. You were hoping to challenge me, sir? There's no hands on this. I'll be fine. There's definitely that's all just early additions. We will absolutely refine those as we get to the finish. How are we on time? I got to be careful because I actually missed the last appointment. I was that douchebag. Okay, let's do one final. I'm going to do one final kind of light and material pass before we get to the speculars because we've only got about 30 minutes. So let's go ahead and grab this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to duplicate this duplicate this group. I'm going to put it all together. Merged. Now, new layer. Set to multiply. Pick a light color. We were talking about red earlier. You want to name a layer? Eye layer. Horses go here. That which one? You gotta designate which layer gets this ridiculous name. Ashton, thanks for hanging out, man. It's awesome having you. We'll see you next time, I hope. Dan Rob, yeah, that looks cool. Can't wait to see the oh yeah, the speculars. Seriously, that last 10% is really what makes all this work. The blue eyes layer you want. There is no blue eyes layer anymore. Ha! I'm not opening up that group. Mm-mm. Alright, I guess I will. Here's a blue eye layer. You wanted to call it horses? Oh, I see. Eye layer. Oh, okay. I thought you meant eye layer, horses go here. You mean just horses go here. You and your bloody horses. I got bit by a mosquito. This is so itchy. Too late. Ha. Okay. Let's do the warm parts. Gotta speed this up. Some rosy bits to the erogenous zone. No, I think actually we're gonna bring that blue down here. I usually spend a little too much time in the last, the last lighting phase before getting to the speculars, because the speculars, man, they do so much heavy lifting for making something look finished and rendered, but I always try so hard to make it feel like it's a complete painting before I get to that. But the truth is, I mean, especially if this was just a straight concept piece, and I needed to really rush job, get it done, I would go to speculars now and not bother with what I'm doing. But I just wanted to kind of really be more declarative with the fluffiness of this thing and the fill light. I'm going for very short, fluffy feathers this time. I think the last fluffy thing I did had a lot of big fluff on it. So this time it's going to be more about capturing that sort of short, stiff bristle thing. Stiffle. It's all about breaking that contour. I was kind of thinking of chicks. When I first saw that shape, I was thinking of like little baby chicks and how their fluff is funny. They got kind of a goofy fluff. Does this belong in Bloodflower's world? No, this is just a random sketch. I'm taking a break because we finished, after a few sessions, the last painting. I don't know if you saw it with the... I finished it out by painting the prism in the water, which I think, considering that was an effect that I was really nervous about, I finished and did in like 2 seconds. It was crazy how fast that went. I think it works pretty well. It's an effective little trick. Do I plan to add more light to this? I'm going to do a real quick rim that's probably going to not stay because it'll be super dirty in the amount of time I have. And just this fill. I think that's it for this because it's just meant to be kind of a quick, fun, silly thing. I might pick it up again later after my interview or something. I might even just sign back in and finish it out later tonight. I don't know if anybody interested in watching me finish this up, but I could put more time into it than a half an hour for sure. Ghost Shiv, welcome, hello. Thanks. Ah, thanks, Chris. Yeah. All right. Well, maybe that'll be the thing to do. Because I'm having fun with it. It's a fun little silly thing. It's past midnight, Demaze. You gotta get to bed, cuz. Yeah, one of the jobs I'm looking at right now, there's a potential that I would have to get up at 3 a.m. Oh my god. International work is tough, gang. I like to stay up late though. Play my shooty games with my friends. Okay, I think we've kind of needled and noodled the fluffy bits enough. He definitely feels fluffy. Let's do another layer. I'm gonna just finish out a few accent values to kind of just really clearly delineate stuff. Sounds like a good sleep pattern. Yeah, it probably would be better for European streams. But of course, in that case, I would actually be having a job, so I wouldn't be streaming during that time. Just little implied cast shadows here, so I want to follow the contours of things. Let it be thin where it's just ambient occlusion, and then let it kind of fall off into a nice cast shadow where it should fall. Let's grab this and kind of do a very light mid-tone key specular on the wingy bits. And it'll feel like a different material because I've been so fluffy with the other parts. I don't know why I like painting chicken wings so much. They are so funny looking. And I'm definitely getting into specular territory now. Work on that throat a little bit more. Specular or we riot? What? Oh, Jesus. Don't riot. Give me just a minute, man. Come on. Just another second to render. I just gotta render. It'll be worth it. It's always worth it. Trust me. You gotta hold it off. We're just edging the speculars right now. We're so close. All right. Wait, one more thing. The divine torture. All right. Let's make a new layer. Speculas. Notice, look at the values. Very tight. So we got our lightest lights are in the 70 range or so. What do we got down here? Wow. All right, so we have a lot of room for speculars. A lot. Let's go with a warmer color. Let's see, and then it'll give us a nice cool rim light later. So lessen just a little bit, raise that a lot. Remember, my plan is to keep the brightest, tightest speculars in places where it's going to be near my focal point. But I'm kind of building up to get there. So I just sort of slowly, laterally move in that direction. I'm going to surprise it. I'll be ka-cha! Right at the end, and I'll hit that last one, and then I'll be like, yeah! Uh-oh. I thought it just froze. If you are a fan of Crayola, the graffiti artist, this is his jam. This is the stuff that he does so great. I'm only thinking of him in particular because he does these cool shapes, kind of like this tongue, where there's kind of a weird organic, I don't know, calligraphic stroke to it. Less, more. It's important not to overdo this. It's so tempting too because it looks so fun, and it's like these last little bits that just kind of come together. But it's very, very easy to overdo it and then just make it look like noisome garbage. I always like to think of it as an accent. You're accenting rather than rendering. This is like almost a design decision thing. Philippe, welcome. Thanks. The big thing you're getting from this is the specular's only a value of 80% or so. Yeah, you really don't need it if you're trying to go for something a little more naturalistic. You want to save that for... I mean, it's dependent on the image. I'm using a very tame lighting situation here. So there are times, absolutely, where you want to break out the white. But you want to do it when it's the right time. You don't want to associate white with specular, because they are not the same thing. That is a very troublesome position to start in. You're going to end up screwing yourself if that's your approach every time. Specular only means that it is a reflection of a light source. See, that's too much. It didn't need it. It didn't need it. You don't need to describe it everywhere. And it takes some experience and some experimentation to kind of know when and where. But that's why I like the idea of, you pick a focal point, and that's that rough area, the circle of the focal point. You want to fade it out. So in the center of that circle, whatever it may be, is where you have your tightest details and your fun speculars. But then after that, you want to break it up a little bit. So notice, so if you want to look at this, look at the detailing and the very gentle transitions of colors and values, and there's a lot of detail and material interest here. And then down here, it just kind of fades off. It's because I don't want you to look there as much. It's just not as important. So I'm not focusing on it with a great deal of detail. All right, so we've got our speculars in, our rudimentary ones. Let's do a secondary light source real quick. How are we on time? Only a few minutes. Let's go back to our underlying layers. Or actually, this is the easiest way. We're going to group it, make a new layer, clip to the group. And I already kind of hinted at a little bit of a cool here. It's just kind of a gray color. Don't need much. And for this, I'm going to keep it a little bit a hard edge, but not a super textured one. Now, those are much brighter. I was dulling it out. So I'm just going to really do this rim light in places where it would be a little bit more visible. We absolutely must have it on the tongue, because the tongue is shiny like the beak. And I'm using the forms of the tube of the tongue and how they're all sort of wrapping and coiling around each other to help sell the overlapping. Do I have a specular brush I use? I tend to prefer for specular brushes very hard-edged brushes that are in the opaque range that won't have any opacity variables. So this one I'm using for example right now is a little too forgiving to be a proper specular brush in my opinion, but it can be done with it. You just have to really press hard, which I am kind of doing. I'm working against myself here, but I'm willing to render a little bit here and give it a little bit of softness here and there. But yeah, my primary specular brushes that I use, if there is such a thing, are super hard opacity, hard edge brushes with often just a touch of texture. So this one I want to give a specular inside the keratin. And I'm going to have to kind of just pay a little bit of due here because it looks a little unfinished to me. So with this one, I'm using that softer edge brush, which has opacity in it, but I'm using the value and color that I want. So your brain knows that this is specular, but it doesn't have the same sharpness that these do up here. And so it also knows to not really focus on it too much. I'm manipulating your brain right now. Super fun. Gotta have these juicy little sweaty joints right here. So sweaty. Just little scribbles. I'm not super detailing that part. Let's do. Just kind of refining my lower edges there. Just a touch. His ear. And I want to give it a little bit of. Okay. Let's hit these eyes. Let's go with a new layer. We're gonna do a screen, I think. Whoops. Are we on time? 40 minutes, okay. Actually, let's switch to color dodge. I want this to be really sharp. I'm using a big, soft airbrush for this. Let's get a little bit brighter, a little bit cooler. One more specular layer real quick. Let us grab a real Sharpie sharp. And here, the only spot in the whole painting where I'm putting pure white. Little touch-up speculars here and there, where it's starting to feel a little empty. I feel like I turned off a layer somewhere. I did turn off a layer. I'm not crazy. Ha! Okay, whew. It's like something's wrong. Oh my god, what in the hell is this thing? Oh my god. Is adding so much material definition and volume? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Save it for the end. And just respect and honor that that's going to come. Avid, welcome. Hi. Just in time. I'm about to shut down. Sorry. Now's here we get those real sexy peepers. Where we look at the owl. Oh, yeah. Oh, this thing. It's coming at you. Let's give it little creepy. Yes. Oh, yeah. Everything's better with a little butter and garlic. All right. I think we have finished with our Dodosaur. There you go. He goes like this. That's his noise. I hope you all enjoyed him, and he's now your best friend in the world. I may come back on later tonight and do a little bit more on him, just to finish up the shadows and clean up some of the rougher parts. But yeah, not bad for a few hours, right? He's beautiful. We love him. His mating call is very similar to just his standard noises. Very God of War-like. Nice. Thanks, Philippe. Awesome. Well, super glad you all hung out, and hopefully you had fun, learned a little something, enjoyed yourself. As always, paint smart, paint sexy. I'm Izzy, a professional writer, concept artist, and illustrator. I've taught painting for a dozen years or so, on and offline. Many of your favorite illustrators and designers have studied with me or under me, and have gone on to teach in their own right. You're here because, like they did, you want to learn to paint realistically for illustration or concept art. Well, worry not. You're in the right place. Grab a seat. I want you to join me as I explain all the aspects of image making in extremely digestible and clear monthly lessons. Not through the lens of silly how to paint hair or eye demos. That shit is carnival tricks. And you're not really learning anything except an exact way to render one thing in one manner. This is painting mysticism at its worst. Watching these kinds of exploitative lessons won't help you level up with your understanding. Sure, now you can paint sparkly hair, but what if you want to paint a dragon, or figure out how to render a sea of fire, or depict a one-eyed transgender space marine dying in the vacuum of space? Painting and image making are tools of communication, and can be learned by anyone willing to put in some time. Like grammar is for language, light, color, and form literally follow a formula. Painting well is not a matter of chicken bones, zombie crackers, and the ever-dismissive concept of talent. Learning with my series, Izzy's Logic of Light and Color, will give you the tools and understanding so you can analyze light and form in reality and bring it to life in your work. Using this simple system I have distilled will help you harness your art to share your ideas as you've always intended. When we are children, we all draw in symbols. Symbols for our house, our hands, the sun, the grass, our pet lobster. As we grow into artists, we must learn to throw away symbols and begin to draw and paint what it is we actually see. And as we grow further, we learn to paint beyond what we see and what is actually there.
until finally we move beyond this and learn to trim away what is actually there so we voice only what we want. With me, you're going to have to buckle in and maybe take some pain meds, because I'm going to rip out your normal person's eyes and replace them with a painter's eyes. I'm going to restructure how you see and how you understand what you're seeing. I'm going to turn you into a painting machine. Truly, anyone can learn to paint realistically if they can both determine what they're seeing or imagining with basic and straightforward rules. Once you understand the mechanics of light, color, and form in reality, you will have the capacity to paint anything you can see or imagine realistically. After that, the real fun begins. Here are some of the ways you can join me and master the logic of light and color. The very first lesson of my series is totally free on my YouTube channel. In that lesson, I give you the 3 primary rules of light that are the very foundation of painting and understanding light itself. If you do nothing else to make your painting mastery easier, at least watch this amazing little lesson. It will do more for your basic understanding of light than just about any tutorial you can find. When you're ready to get deeper and you feel like you have those first rules figured out, allow me to utterly blow your mind with the next episodes available on Gumroad and ArtStation. As we go deeper into the rules underlying the logic of light and color, I carefully and simply explain important and interesting elements. From beginner to pro, there is an amazing amount of information available. Each concept has been distilled into the clearest explanation you're likely to find anywhere. Like episode 2, where we cover the atmospheric effect and how that relates to light, scale, and distance of objects in reality, and how to render it. Or episode 3, where I hand over the ultimate key to controlling value in your paintings. Episodes 5 through 8 are all about rendering materials. Want to understand the logic behind rendering metal, leather, hair, transparency, damn near anything. I even cover the logic behind painting special effects like fire, neon, or lightsabers in later episodes. The lessons just get deeper and more detailed as I build on the foundations covered in preceding episodes. The 10th gives you the most important rule of composition you'll ever learn to keep your images interesting. The next few episodes cover important painting techniques like my edge control ninjutsu or simplification with the large to small system. We dip a toe in color theory, devote a few episodes to finishing full-blown illustrations utilizing the techniques we've learned so far. Some episodes, like the lighting game or Advanced Exercises 1, the shirt, present cheap, valuable, and practical exercises to give you explosive growth in your development. Episodes 22 through 25 cover painting and illustration, just like I do for Magic the Gathering, from assignment and inception to signing the painting at the end. Each one is full of tips, knowledge, everything to make working as an illustrator easier. Did you enjoy learning how to paint basic materials? Metal, wood, and such? I got 3 whole episodes devoted to the intricate logic behind painting different kinds of skin. After that, more lessons devoted to pumping life into your portraits and original methods for accurately drawing faces out of your head. From fundamentals to photo bashing, Gumroad and ArtStation have every lesson I create available for purchase a la carte. But here's an even better way to learn with me. Stay current with my latest lessons on Patreon for the lowest price available. Monthly support gets my student that month's lesson, a critique or paint over of their finished work, a discount code for 25% off the entire Gumroad archive, and access to the Logic of Light and Color Discord community, where we plan future lessons, share knowledge, and learn together as a team. The absolute best method is to join my Patreon classroom at the Student Plus tier, where you'll get everything I just mentioned and a free episode from the archive every month to accelerate your mastery at your own pace. You've decided to take control of your painting and master Izzy's logic of light and color. Now it's up to you to choose the path that's best for you. I'll see you on the flip side. Paint smart, paint sexy.